Oh, it's been a month since Louis Vuitton opened its audacious flagship store at one end of Shanghai's premier shopping street. Despite losing some of its novelty factor, the Louis continues to draw in the crowds. But the LV phenomenon masks a mixed picture for Shanghai's shopping malls. Shanghai is home to over 700 of them, and that's 1/10 of China's total. Our latest Q2 figures released this month by Cushman & Wakefield shows that vacancy rates for mid to high-end retail property have largely been flat, despite the volume of new retail space entering the market. But in a crucial sign when it comes to demand, the average asking rent sank about 1.4% on quarter. For more on this, we are joined now by CNA's Tan Guan in Shanghai. So, Guan, the LV flagship store making quite a wave, but just judging from the latest numbers on Shanghai's malls, are those crowds that we see an exception rather than the norm?
Yes, on the ground, it's a mixed bag because we have malls that are filled with people any time of the day, even in the middle of the working hours. And then we have malls that are either devoid of people or worse, devoid of shops. Now, some of our viewers might recall, and you might be seeing those visuals now, about half a year ago, my crew and I visited a relatively new downtown mall directly connected to 2 subway lines. Except for restaurants facing the street, the malls had no shop to open. Now, that was last winter, you can tell with my scarf on. At that time, the mall was just about 6 months old. Now, 6 months on, we revisited the mall, and it's now summer. I'm not sure if you can see from my dressing, it's a bit summer, right? And the mall is still devoid of shops. The irony is that there is footfall. People walking to the subway to avoid the heat, right? Now, to avoid the impression of a ghost mall near the subway, the owners of the mall have actually created, get this, a fake cafe with neon lights and all. But neon lights, now, when you open the door, there's nothing inside. However, when you just cross the road to the mall opposite, which was built earlier, that mall is crowded.
That is quite strange, I have to say. What then are the authorities in Shanghai doing to, try and revive the mall scene?
Well, one government strategy has been to encourage the debut of flagship stores or new concepts. It's so-called 首发经济 or debut economy. Now, the LV ship is a good example. The approval process for that retrofit was compressed from 2 months to just 1 week. What's more, the surrounding areas were renovated. Even electrical poles and subway exits were shifted to accommodate that ship. So that's how far authorities have to go, to encourage this debut economy.
Well, let's pick up on a report by Bain & Company, basically estimating that luxury spending has dropped, right, from 18 to 20% last year. And how is that actually affecting these malls that house these luxury shops?
Well, the LV ship you just saw is at a luxury mall. That multi-story block that became the LV ship was actually empty for at least a year or perhaps even more. That mall still has empty shop fronts. They are kind of beautifully disguised, so you don't really notice them. But the LV ship has brought footfall. Before, even China's biggest Starbucks here couldn't fill its seats. Now there's a queue outside. Now, same for restaurants. Previously, you could stroll in for dinner. Now, many are fully booked for the evening. But a consultant points out to us that there is a flip side to this sort of traffic. Let's take a listen to what she has to say.
It all depends on the execution and the retail mix. So it is currently a landmark in Shanghai. They attract lots of footfall, but sometimes it's very hard to turn it into sales when they attract the wrong crowd.
So when it comes to luxury, not all footfall is good news, not especially when it turns your mall into a marketplace. That said, there are malls that somehow manage to fill all their spaces. Now, Plaza 66 is one of them. Despite declining retail sales, there are 0 vacancies there. In fact, the mall has had to set up semi-permanent pop-up stores for brands like Prada, wanting a place in that mall. Now, what's more, the mall is building a new wing. I asked the director of the mainland operations of Plaza 66 why they would have the confidence to do so amidst a decline in luxury sales. Here's what she has to say.
我们有很长的一个waiting list， 所以首先第3期也给到我们一个很好的机遇，有更多新概念的零售。这2年市场首先消费信心是有影响的，但同步你也看到大家在银行的存款也是创新高的，所以就是你会看到客人的实力在3年是一个周期，所以其实我们更多是预备接下来这一波的经济形势有改善了，他们也看到我们的项目马上可以呈现出来。
By the way, that venue that we interviewed Janice, that's one of the ways the mall is attracting repeat high-spending customers that it wants. It's an exclusive lounge. It's by invitation only, and you would need to spend enough that could buy you a nice brand new apartment in the outskirts of Shanghai just to qualify for that lounge. Or Telly?
Wow, well, I guess maybe she's not an online shopper in that case. But, you know, we have to bring that factor in, right? Because it is advanced in China. And so then, I mean, shopping malls, to what extent are they still relevant?
Well, that's precisely what we asked shoppers on one of Shanghai's main shopping avenues. And even there are people who mostly shop online, but quite a handful still advocate for brick-and-mortar shops. Let's take a listen to what they have to say.
网购你试不到啊，所以不知道它效果怎么样。对啊，所以我买衣服还是会去实体店。
试穿啊啥，对于自己的要求呀啥，肯定能达得到。网购的话，肯定没有那么效率那么高。
我们现在出来吃饭这些，更多的这些愿意出来消费这些，是要去感受这种人间烟火，感受这种就是还有这种社交的这种属性。所以我觉得外卖是没办法解决社交属性这个问题的。
Other than targeting the need to socialize over a meal, malls are also targeting children. The idea is that the kids will draw the parents out as well. One mall has set up an urban beach. Now, Shanghai has no beaches to speak of, so parents, a trip to the mall beats the hassle of driving for hours to bring their kids to a beach, which could be overcrowded anyway because now it's the summer holidays. Now, I've also seen malls where the central plaza is made into a giant playground. Your tenant mix also matters. Now, some malls are going for enrichment schools, teaching English, dance, or even skateboarding, just to draw in this group of parents and kids.
Desperate times calls for desperate measures. But how about those with no kids then? I mean, what are they going to do to try and attract that group of people?
Well, the malls are targeting fur kids. Right? Some are providing pet strollers, that's a low-hanging fruit, while others are going a step further to build things like, drinking stations and plazas for pet walks, right? Another strategy is sports, right? Some malls have gyms, basketball courts, rock climbing walls to join the crowd. Now, I spoke to Ming Yi about this strategy, and here's what she has to say.
So what they are trying to do is to build like emotional stickiness towards like the mall, because it builds up a routine. So people have like a reason to go to the mall for the fitness and like sports, maybe a little bit of gathering with sport enthusiasts, and after that spending in the mall itself.
Now, other than sports, we're also seeing more car dealerships within shopping malls. According to a survey of 93 malls in Shanghai by Jones Lang LaSalle, over half of them have at least one car dealership. In a way, it kind of makes perfect sense because, cars are one of those things that people wouldn't just buy online. And car dealers are also trying to sell an aspirational lifestyle. And higher-end malls do fit into that mold. Otelli?
Really sounds like there is something for everybody, and the malls are going all out to attract the customers. Well, thanks so very much for sharing, Guan. Appreciate it. CNA's Tanya Guan live in Shanghai.